Well, welcome everybody to the Battle Pirates Crib. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week with the release of the new time-limited campaigns. And there's no Larry this week. He is at National Airport at this point in time. So we are joined by Two Doors
Science.
and Senior Daniel.
Hi, everyone.
And this is Hefe. And in case anybody needs to do any pre-planning, I am planning on making most of the show open mic because a lot of people that probably read the release notes realized that was really no new content this week. It's a lot of reruns on old TLCs and 2 bug fixes. So we're happy for input on new things to discuss that are of interest to you guys. And I guess we'll go from there. Does anybody have any comments before I start our limited slides?
No.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's go with that. The first thing we do is the bug fixes. Some users were not able to view their daily deals. This issue has been fixed. It was a lot of people were able to view them, but they weren't getting their full. They were only getting like 4 of them, and it's a little confusing because even after this went out, this was continuing to occur, but potentially after midnight that was going to occur again. But it seems like even if you get less than 6, it's basically not letting you see things that you were randomly chose to get that you might be at maximum capacity for. So, and I haven't hit a dub in a while, but there was an issue where hulls could not target enemy buildings and track uranium bases. This has been fixed. So I don't know. I'm not sure that I like the new sentence after everything that says this has been fixed since it's in the bug fixes. But oh well. Anybody been impacted by either one of these or have any comments?
No, I barely check my daily deals. I just sometimes chuckle because they're still selling Harlock Centurion shards in mine.
Oh, I guess you don't have all the shards for that.
Nah, I don't even have a regular cent. But anyways, the second one.
I don't have a regular cent. Well, I think you got it through the foundry. I think I automatically got it somehow.
Oh yeah, I meant I did not have one built.
Yeah. I don't have one built, and I don't have a Harlock Centurion built. So yeah, she's been off smashing the bugs. And I just put that in for George because he seems scared of women that are built this way.
that also have hammers.
Yeah, the hammers. But yeah, well, there was one that didn't have a hammer that he also appeared to be afraid of. And Barian said he was short on daily deals. Was that is that today or was that yesterday? Okay. But we'll wait for him to get to that. I'm just reading the YouTube chat at the same time. Skyfire TLC started today, and it's going to run for 2 weeks. They've slightly changed the configuration of this. Prior, the Bandit Hornet was the only prize in Prize Pack 1. They've added these VXP, well, 1,000 VXP, whatever. The rest of it's fairly similar besides just moving some things around. And this is a good one for anybody that's plans to participate in the raid, because I think, and even if you have a fully built fleet of Skyfires, you know, we're going to, you know, as we've seen in the past with the D100V and, you know, the D85D, we should be expecting the Plaid Hornet or the striped hornet or whatever the next one might be in the near future. So even if you're completely built, I would go ahead and claim the 12 build tokens. And if you don't have them completely built, yeah, this should help you out because I think at the end of the day, you're probably going to, it's not really a choice anymore between the Skyfarer carrier and the Phoenix. It's just a matter of which one you put your initial priority into it because you'll probably end up wanting both due to some TLC or something. The way that the monoliths and the icebreakers have both shown advantages at picking apart different TLCs. Any
Or
comments?
or when
Go
they
ahead.
run your garrison fleets too thin, so you're happy you have two and a backup tank, because how would you survive otherwise?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know about the backup tank since there's really not a lot of tanking in this, the way this thing's put together. But I do agree that, yeah, there's three, there's going to be three garrison TLCs released this week along with your FM. I wish they had, potentially worked out something else where there was maybe skirmish or assault or, you know, something else floating out there that we could. I guess they don't want to do the assault right now because there's too much of a difference between the people that have the Apollos and the people that have the Skyfarers and Phoenixes already completed. But maybe something with the skirmish target or just a pure conqueror target, and that would keep people from just running their garrison fleets ragged. Will the Skyfarer be offered in the raid?
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I'm just trying to think historically. Do you think at this point it might end up? Well, it's really easy to get at this point, since then. Um, if you have any sort of decent garrison fleets, you should be able to complete prize pack 1. And I would recommend that approach as opposed to waiting for them in the raid because it may or may not show up. So, alrighty. Anything else with this? Oh, and and the UAV targeting circuitry, which was 8 million in the raid, is available at prize pack 3. I've only made it through prize pack 1 at this point in time. This go round. So I'm not sure. I'm assuming because I remember last time it was like prize pack 1 and prize pack 2 were similar, and then prize pack 3 was a whole different thing. Or is that another one?
Yeah, it's kind of like call to arms, where the first two are a specific type. I'm doing one right now, and this is the it's just some random stuff, and then the A set from the raid, and the next one's going to be that and the 85, and then the last one, because there's 7 targets, they thought that it would be fine to make it equivalent to Call to Arms Prize Pack 4. I hope they reconsidered that because that was dumb. But I hope it's different. But that's what it was like last time.
Yeah, because that one was, if you got any sort of, because I was doing fine until I would run into this itsy bitsy, any bit of lag in that one, and you're just toast. And it was so long, and yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that one either. But you do
Yeah.
have 2 weeks to complete it. So I would get the first 2 prize packs done quickly, and then hopefully you don't have lag for 12 days for prize pack 3.
Yeah.
So
Well, I remember I did it for no coins, but that I had to use both my fleets. That's when it's good to have 2 fleets of the same type.
yeah, and also with like example, when I just did prize pack 1, I did. I used just pure icebreakers on 1 and 2. I think there's four in the price pack one, 1 and 2, and then number three, which is the old 81 or 80. I just used my monoliths and Zelos, and then I think the fourth prize is 83 from the old raid, and I used a combination of prepping with icebreakers and then using my monos to finish it off. And so it was basically damage free. There are a few little modifications relative to the raid target, especially in the third one where these nasty little Apollos show up after everything's dead. And yeah, don't get too close to them, even with your Zealous. I don't know what they have on them, rockets or something, but something nasty.
The actual death missile.
Yes. All right. Not sure everybody's terribly excited about this one, but this is the Hunger campaign, which is going to show up on Friday and only run for 5 days. I'm not sure anybody's been a fan of really anything that's been included here, from what I've been able to tell. Have you seen anybody have any success with anything here besides the structure build tokens?
I put the reserves on my glacial to shorten the reload by a good chunk.
Okay.
But no, I plan to do 2 runs to get VXP tokens so I can build and skull 1 incinerator because reasons, and that's about it.
Yes, yes, yeah. Somebody said they liked the name. I mean, previously I was calling it the Incinerator, but which is I think a brand name of garbage disposal.
I have one in my kitchen.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I mean everybody in chat doesn't seem to be a huge fan of it, but maybe they'll be not used for its original purpose to hit bases, but they usually drag these things back and that don't work out well and make them a preferred haul and a TLC at some point in the future.
Or they just advertise it as such, and then you realize your Zealous and Monos do way better. Although that's just me being snarky. You are right. And with the Rival series, what they've done is they've tried to make the hull that you win in one the preferred hull in the next one. So this should do well against the Conqueror targets in the one for whatever the last one is. Because we've still got one to go, right?
Lust?
No.
The ores, yeah.
The ores.
Yeah.
Liberator, Survivor, Oppressor, Incinerator, the 5th one.
You said Survivor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we can move on from Hunger, which starts tomorrow. And again, everybody only runs for 5 days. And as I recall, this is a mixture of Garrison and oh, this is something we might want to talk about. But it's a mixture of Garrison and NPC player bases. Is the fact that these are player bases. I mean, these aren't really player bases. The rules don't apply as far as cloak efficiency. So the people
and
that
retreating.
and retreating, yeah, and retreating. But I was thinking mostly about the Mudgluts. They've put in some of the turret special, the turrets, or not special, but the turret transformer that provides sonar to them. So if you have if you've added sonar evade, you're going to be much better off, at least historically, last time this was put out, than if you just have standard, because the 75% cap isn't there for these targets, or at least it wasn't last time. So, and okay. So we move on to Call to Arms Icebreaker. This is actually 4 prize packs, but I didn't want to make 2 slides. I consider this one for a lot of players to be only useful for most players, only to be useful for prize pack 3 and 4. Because I personally, I think I've only done one level of this thing, and I have 22 days of build tokens for the icebreaker that are, mine's already refitted, but the 5 X armors could be quite useful for people. And then, if you want to build the Visaga's icebreaker and hope that it's going to be more useful in upcoming TLCs, because I don't know, has anybody seen anybody have a huge amount of luck using these to run the FM icebreakers in general? I mean, I don't. I mean, I don't know if they've changed them or I've just gotten better at it, but I mean, last 113 I took about 12 minutes of damage and I ran over 2 mines. So, and that's with Monoliths and Zealous. So, I don't know, are there videos out there of people using icebreakers to do this?
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
But I
I know I
looked.
use them every week.
You what?
I use them every week for the
You,
Forsaken Mission.
you do? And how do they do?
They take about 6-7 hours of repair, and then I just put it to repair and go to sleep.
Is that for running through it once or per target?
Just running it once. So it's like
Okay,
3 targets and a 103.
Okay. Yeah, that's significantly more. I mean, I guess if you have plenty of time to repair.
Yeah. If you just want to get through the Forsaken Mission really quick and
Repair a lot. Yeah, because I'm seeing like
have
Leonard
just
Skinner. It says
repair.
4 times 113 equals 8 hours of damage. But yeah, I don't know if he's being sarcastic when he says they do great. I'm not certain, because if you can run through with with Monolith and Zealous and do the whole thing just beginning to end, probably take about an hour or less of about an hour of damage in the 113.
Yeah,
So,
but
What charged armors do you have on those icebreakers?
same, two of each, 2
Oh, 2
X's
of
and
each?
2 M's.
Ah, that's probably a good part of it. Why you would do so well.
Well, yeah, I just do the whole Forsaken Mission really quick.
Well, no, I mean you have 2 of each charged armor on them. That's
Yeah.
very, very beneficial.
Oh, but it's so much faster than just going around with monoliths. Yeah, I could do it all in one day with monoliths, but it's just so quick with them that I'd rather just do that at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's almost like monoliths should not have had accelerate on them.
yeah. And I never got to use my tits on a bull picture for the real reason, but oh well. Maybe they'll come out with another Monolith TLC.
Didn't you shoehorn that in somewhere? Like
Yeah. I was just wondering if anybody could figure out what it meant. Yeah. I forced it in, but it wasn't a natural fit, I admit.
Oh, I mean, wait until next month, and they'll probably run the Call to Arms monolith, and you'll be able to do it.
Yeah, with a little more natural. Yes, it'll flow a little better. And that was Sofia Vergara. So, and this is I don't know if anybody nobody in I'm going to go to open mic in a minute. But I just wanted to bring up the heavy lance missile in case anybody's actually seen it in action since the new FM started today, and this is the first time that people would be able to win them and potentially put them on the Empyrean. and just wanted to put this out here for just to bring up the conversation, because again, like I said, there was really no new content this week. I mean, it appears to be a beast, like we said last week. I mean, it's it's I mean, plus 300 penetrating damage. Once you put these builds together, the turn speed, the combat speed, it just turns these things into just what appears to be just monsters. And once you start adding up the the stacking auras for the Empyreans, just complete monsters. But I'm curious how they're doing on the on the existing targets, because we know that the higher end targets, maybe just the S set. We're not sure. I thought I saw them in other sets as the generalist dampener. So I'm just curious how they're doing now, because I'm just curious how the generalists are going to do. So I guess I'm going to stop screen sharing, since there's really no other new content, and I'll see if anybody else would like to join the show and bring up whatever topics you want. I mean, I've seen some positive things come out on as far as the new community manager, Major Rampage, as far as sort of reaching out and trying to at least discover the issues the community has. Do you have anything that you found of interest this week, Brian or Daniel?
I'm glad he's trying. It's more trying in his job than a lot of people do in the game. But he posed a question, which was what 3 things did you wish you knew when you started playing? And I think that's a good thing to get started on, because it allows him to understand the trials and tribulations of a new player. Although, even just a year ago, it was so vastly different. The things like hall classes didn't exist, and a lot of players, they might not have had the problems that players do now. Like a lot of the issues that I've had, I wish I knew what that was, but that thing didn't exist when I started, the thing that I wished that I knew. And I never had the actual problem, because I learned because I was on and active in the game when it came out, so I was able to read how it supposedly worked. And it's I mean, I guess
yeah. The question isn't relevant, because I started the same. Me and Renato started on the first day, and all you could do at that point was attack mines, drac mines, and sit on them for hours and hours and hours collecting resources. You couldn't hit bases. All you could really do was attack people that were sitting on these bases, and the dracs would come back like every hour and attack your ships. It was really, I'm surprised the game lasted after the way the game started at the beginning, because it was just sitting there waiting for something to happen. Like, okay, the dracs are going to come hit my base, hit the mining base I'm sitting on and collecting resources, and some point in the next hour. And yeah, I mean, so I'm not the best one. I mean, I think Barian started more recently.
I started in December 2012. I do remember those mines, though. They were annoying. They were like, I mean, I'll admit it. I would intentionally and go snipe people that were on mines. I'm not gonna lie about it.
Well, yeah, that was the only really thing to do in the game at that point, was to actually go and do that, because you couldn't attack bases. There was not even salvages yet. You couldn't even go out and hit cargo at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no cargo. The only way you could get anything was just cargo was introduced afterwards. Yeah, the only thing you could do was sit on these mines in the higher level of the mine, the faster you would accrue resources, but you could take all the resources from the person sitting on the mine if you attack them and kill them.
Now, when I started the game was a little later, and we were able to do like everything. We had everything: salvages, we had raids.
Hmm.
I started around the typhoon raids, so it was fun times back then. uh,
Yeah.
we all wanted to have DNXs because that was the best ship in the whole world, and then the MCX came out, and that was the best ship for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah. And that was back in the day when one ship could do everything. Your
Yes,
MCX
Yeah.
was your raid fleet, it was your base hitting fleet, it was your fleet versus fleet. It was everything.
yes, and then you were able to do the raids with marauders because I remember going out there and with like 10 like five or 5 or 10 fleets of marauders and like hitting the low level typhoons over and over again to accrue to get up to tier 4.
Hmm. But I think more of the interesting question as far as like, what did you know when you started, or what do you still wish you knew now? I mean, there's so many unresolved questions, like, I'm gonna, you know, that aren't really documented well, and they're not documented in a organized way. One example would be this cloak efficiency inside of bases. That supposedly they fix, but what did they do to fix it? And there's not a central repository of information on any of this stuff that deal with the mechanics of the game. And that part is, I think, would be a great step forward for not just brand new players, but all the players to go in there and be able to understand some of the game mechanics that have never, maybe they were explained at one point and maybe they changed. And there's a lot of game mechanics that, because it's, I bet a lot of people that play the game don't know what this duplicate aura cap of 5 even means, because as far as I can tell, it's misused a lot. Because you'll see it on relative to bloodthirst where there's no aura, and I don't know exactly what that means. I think a better question is, what do you still not know, even if you've been playing for years?
You ever hear
But
that expression? I don't even know what I don't know.
yeah, yeah, there's also that.
That's where I'm at.
Well, I
Well,
can honestly say for myself, I've gotten a lot better at it, but I went through a nice little discussion about it. Was the whole cloak efficiency thing and how it related to sonar and all of that. I thought I had it down pat, and everything was still going goofy on it. I mostly understand it now, kind of.
Well, yeah, and a lot of that stuff has actually been. I mean, I guess I could screen share that again, because what you brought up, a lot of that stuff I think is still hidden for to figure out cloak efficiency and what that means. Uh, there's not even the information in the blueprints for players to determine what that means. Um, it's been have to resort to data mining to get to that. Um, so, as an example, right here, when I talk about submarine base visibility, it's not available for players to see, and it varies widely. I mean, it's a huge difference between the gluttony and, say, a ghost crawler. I mean, the base visibility is around twice for the ghost crawler as it is for the gluttony. So I don't know. It's it just seems like something that should be made available to the players because they do get frustrated trying to figure all this stuff out, and there is not documentation available. Or unless they consider searching, doing some random search on the forums and finding out whatever somebody said at one point in time. So, but I guess this is, I guess this sort of answers the question I brought up earlier. Like, what would you like to know right now in the game? I think this is pretty much the same group that was on Friday when I put this slide out earlier, but understanding the blueprints a little bit better as far as, is it accuracy based or an unguided weapon? What's the projectile speed, especially for things like rockets and mortars that can be outrun, scatter guns, the submarine base visibility, which is crucial to try and figure out the effectiveness of your cloaking. And then these two are just a matter of saying if does it activate a resonance battery or capacitor? Yes or no? Just keep it there all the time. Same with cold snap immune. Is this ability cold snap immune? Yes or no? Because we assume when it says it is, it's there, but sometimes there's been a lot of oversights, so we're never quite sure.
Now, on the cold snap immune thing, here's something that I have been noticing. I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of goofy. Like, for instance, my justice, well, everybody's justice, just using mine in an example. When you look at the blueprint, it talks about its special ability, and it says cold snap immune. Who's going to hit another base with a freaking justice? You only have 5 minutes, 5:30 if you got the crew on there. The justice won't even make it to the front channel in 5 minutes.
I consider that a clue. That there's, at least in the plans or in the works, a ship-based cold snap weapon. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but obviously they've had it in the works for a while because, like, the Behemoths have it. The Valiant has it. So it must be like sector condition red. It's been on the blueprint stack for a year, but not doing anything about it.
Oh, have you seen? Did you see that one TLC that had those Kodiaks and those Kodiaks that shoot like the
Hunger?
Like, was it the Hunger?
Yeah, Hunger
Yeah.
has. They have interceptors. They shoot things that look like cold snaps, although I don't know if they are.
Yeah.
Are you talking about that, or the old one, the Dragon Strike, where you had the Kodiaks and something else hitting your base, kind of like Reaver Tide, but it was Drac ships?
No, this was one of the newer ones. I think it was the Hunger. It had, if they had like these rockets that looked exactly like code snaps.
So anything, anybody in chat or whatnot that has, I guess, the original question of the three things that, I still think it's not the three things you wish you knew when you started, but the three things you wish you knew now. Is there anything else that that makes sense? Hey, Raptor.
I mean, they're asking an interesting question, and I just want to ask for like updated tutorials and new player information, or information available to new players. Like, let them know through a video in the game that you make them watch as part of their initial quest line. Let them know through there that the Forsaken mission is important, and let them know what each of the types of targets is and what you're supposed to use with and against it. Let them know about the info button. Show them what remote targeting is and show them how to do the FM.
That was nice.
I mean, they do have tutorial videos on YouTube. and they have a guide on the Kickstarter site, but it hasn't been updated since Nighthawks came in the
Then
game.
then they can hope. I haven't seen those videos. Hopefully their content is still accurate,
Oh,
relevant, and complete. And if so, then they could link to those videos. But when you said on the official Kicks forums there is a thing, I was going to immediately dismiss it completely blind because it's just like you said, they haven't updated it in years. And that's
yeah.
the problem with all of this. They haven't updated it in years. And last year, with the split of PvE and PvP, the game underwent such a huge drastic change. Like nothing that they said there matters anymore because there's torp towers, which are basically now thermal towers, in every target. They'll say, "Oh yeah, use Nighthawks to sneak in and kill stuff." Not anymore. You can use that in skirmish targets only, and even then, ew. And even then, Nighthawk is tier 3, and I don't think you get tier 3 holes in the Foundry anymore. I don't know
They
how you
have.
can get them.
They also have, if you go into your the right, the upper right of the screen, bring down your little locator thing, where right under locator says tutorials. There's a bunch of videos there.
I will take a look at them. I mean, I haven't looked because I'm not the
I
target
haven't
audience,
I
but
haven't looked at it at all.
maybe
I know it was there.
maybe they're useful. That would be nice. I'm sure they were useful back when they were made.
I mean, they have mega ships, so it's more.
They kind of had to for that one.
But are they written so that a normal person can understand them, or do you have to have a master's degree in science to do it?
No, I don't know.
I
I
know.
haven't looked at them.
I mean, it's not.
I'll
It's
speak
not
for
going to be.
myself. It needs to be written for a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be comprehensive by any means.
Yep.
Upper right.
I need it so that the 12-year-old can understand it, and I can learn.
We have basic base design, base
Oh,
planner
tutorials.
intro,
There we go.
base defending fleet, catalog, resource, defense turrets, the Great Hall.
Oh boy. Ship statistics. Oh, this ought to be fun. Blueprints. Oh, blueprints.
shit.
Oh, it's okay. The retrofit. No, the retrofit lab is an important part for a completely different reason now. This is where we are. We're not even done with the full hour, and we're already looking on the game tutorials, combat strats, controlling ships, advanced controls. Ha! There's a video about metals.
Oh, I could make that video in a heartbeat. Metals. They're a number that means absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Thank you.
Metals don't.
It's cookie
Mic
points.
Oh, that's not even brownie points. I mean, cookies are worse than brownies. So,
They really don't tell you.
what's this? No. Oh. Ship statistics goes over the shipyard damage. Oh, the shipyard damage. Oh, how woefully inaccurate you are.
It'd be nice if they just go through a blueprint and explain what every piece of that blueprint really means. It's really,
And like they could do that on, and yeah, this video is really old, but they could have done that with, well, a lot of people had questions about the justice, but even picking, actually the Skyfire carrier would be a pretty, the Skyfire flag, the lead, would be a pretty good candidate for this because that's a lot of stats, and I don't know if there's a good place to go to see let me see if I can find in the forum somewhere that explains what like assault and siege deflection are, because they don't tell you in the game.
Well,
Updated.
now they call them ship and building, Brian.
What? Whatever.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
You're not wrong. I just don't care.
Yeah. But I think that was in one way trying to simplify it. But if there was like a wiki that was kept up to date by the community manager, made an effort to get a lot of this stuff documented that people have to search through the forums to find, because the forum isn't necessarily the best way to organize
Let
information.
me find thing.
Talking about the wiki.
So
Update.
actually, it's interesting. I play another game called Mabinogi. It's an MMO. They have an extensive wiki that is entirely created and maintained by the community of that game, and they've even got a Patreon to and the community is paying for the servers, and it's a completely invaluable resource in the game because it's mostly translated from Korean, and translation errors occur sometimes and it's not always clear.
We're
But
assuming
it's maintained by the community. Yeah, it's maintained by the community. It's kept by them, and errors are found and documented there. The thing about Battle Pirates is also the people on Navi, they're game masters. I don't know what you'd call them. I guess the equivalent would be if the devs were to go on Battle Pirates and play with us, the live servers, and be jovial and say, "Hey, I'm here. How can I help?" and just provide general advice.
I think
But,
if
like,
they didn't feel like they would be massacred, they might do that if they could.
they'll be hiding away for a long time then, which is unfortunate. But I can't blame them for that one bit.
Oh
It's
no,
just
I can't either.
It's just the game. It's difficult to find information about this game. See also, that slide. A lot of the information is hard to find even when you go through the proper channels. I think a lot of people even the people that should know about this game, the official words from Kixeye, no matter the officialness of their capacity, I guess, whether they're forum mods or whether they're designers or developers, it feels like the people that you go to, that you should be able to go to for information about the game, just don't have it.
Well,
A lot of
exactly. How much of that do you think is intentional versus how much do you think that the code is so complex that they don't know sometimes how the new equipment will affect old boats or the old equipment will affect new boats?
Yeah, and I mean, it's certainly to do with that. It's certainly to do with, turnover rate in the gaming industry. The new hires just don't know, and I believe that they wouldn't get taught the old stuff because there's no point. I think that's one of the advantages of them having this new cycle and somewhat rigid structure in the whole classes and this and that, is that going forward, everything is a lot simpler than it could be. There's tiers and stuff to know, but hopefully, like, ship and structure deflection don't change massively. Hopefully ballistic deflection doesn't change massively. Like that, it's a lot to learn, but once you learn it all, it should be kept pretty steady.
Yeah, because there's not even an explanation of what tiers mean.
Well,
That's fairly basic. You would hope someone that's playing this game
but at least
would
define
understand it.
Well, I mean, when it first came out, I didn't really know. I mean, I guess it does have a direct impact on the game, especially if it deals with the hulls. But originally, when it came out, like, how is this going to impact us? Because they started throwing these tier numbers at us, and then there was no real explanation, as I recall. And then, that we eventually got. It's just sort of like a ranking system, except for as it deals with certain hulls.
Yeah, but the tier level is understood. Anybody with the basic 6th grade education could figure that out.
Pretty much, but it'd be nice to have a place where there is a definition to see if it has more of a ramification than just merely sort of a ranking system.
Exactly. I mean, I
You know,
understand what you're saying. It's been my biggest complaint in the game is there's no communication. If they just laid everything out and made it understandable, people that want to read would have an advantage in the game than those that don't. But everything should be explained. There shouldn't be somebody stumbles upon a piece of luck and finds the next HVR works for everything.
yeah,
Oh.
or because originally when Evade came out, everybody thought it only worked on missiles because that was the way it was presented. Then we realized, oh, it works on everything that's not splash based.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it was asked a little bit earlier. Do you think this is intentional or do you think people just don't know? I'm leaning towards the people just don't know. And like the numerous examples I give, I'm looking again here on the Forsaken mission prizes. Laredo, if you're taking notes, you might want to note this down. Tier 2, prize pool 2, they're offering you the Citadel. Except at level 30 through the Foundry, you get the Citadel. I mean, I know it doesn't affect the amount of time, it'll fill that in, but why are you even graphically wasting a spot like that with
Well,
something
because
that
you
will
also need to
automatically
spend
get?
research time on that, and people can make it to research level 30 in a day or two. So, it does have its purpose. And if you went it through this, you don't have to spend any research time on it, and you got it, day two. Because
The
it's
research time is 1 day to get the Citadel. 24
yeah,
hours is all it takes at level 30. So, it's that's kind of my proof. Look at the previous raid. They were trying to make us spend for the Apollo. How many times were they trying to make us spend money to get the Apollos, the Citadels in raids when by that time they had changed it over? It's they the newer people don't necessarily know all the older stuff that is in already. So I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just overlooked.
Well,
yeah.
and
And,
the
and
pun,
the Raiders. Go ahead, Brian.
well, and the puns sit in the first two tiers of the FM. I think that was done before the massive Foundry change happened.
It was. I agree.
Okay, so I mean, I'm you're not. I wouldn't. You know that would not be the example that I would choose. I would choose the Apollo. That's a good example. I think they put a pretty hefty price tag on that in the June raid.
Well, it was
I'll
going to
look
be
that
2
up.
million. It was going to be 2 million points in the June raid. And after somebody complained in the forums, I won't mention myself by name, of course, but after somebody brought it up in forums, they went, "Oh my God, you're right," and they changed it. So it's like they didn't even realize they were doing it.
June, the June raid, the Textor raid, the Apollo was 6 million points. I think you're thinking of the July raid where they changed it to
Yeah,
the
the
Zoe's
July
Apollo.
raid, my bad. But it's still the same point. By that
Oh
time,
yeah.
you were getting it at level 30 for free. And if somebody missed that point and went, "Oh, well, I want to get the Apollo," they wasted 6 million points when they could have spent a little bit of res in 24 hours. So I don't know.
Yeah, the Raiders in chat, and he mentioned the fact that I was, I was basically trying to explain that the tier system. I was merely bringing up the tier system as just an easy example of the fact that there's not a centralized source of information on the game, you know, and that's more of my issue. It's not that I don't understand the tier system. It's just the fact there's not a centralized source of information for new players to go to, you know, find a concise, organized way to learn about the game. I know that there's things in the community support part of the forums and things of that nature, but it's not standardized. It's not organized. It's just sort of stuff that's out there, and some of it's outdated. It was more speaking to the idea that we get a centralized source of information that's like a wiki or a wiki that just has the information in an easy to read thing that a new player could refer to at any point in time and understand the game and not get overly frustrated with doing things wrong in the game.
Like
That's,
maybe like a glossary, just like a simple little glossary in game where you read like
but don't put it in the forums. It's got to have it's got to be like
no in the game, in the game.
In the game, yep.
yeah, in the game. That would be cool. I'm not sure how that impacts bandwidth and whatnot, but yeah, something in the game or at least click a button. Yeah, click a button and that would take them to it. As opposed to the discuss button, an information button. Beyond like the video, something concise.
But there's so many halls. It'll be hard to just
No.
put everything there.
Well, you don't need to put all the holes. No, I'm just thinking of just general descriptions,
Generic stuff.
like remote targeting range 90%. This hole gains an additional 90% range represented by a yellow ring when you can use remote targeting. Maybe there would even be a link or a further paragraph explaining remote targeting occurs when a ship in your fleet can fire with one of its normal weapons, the white circle, on an enemy turret. At that point, any ship that has a remote targeting range can fire out to the edge of its remote targeting range, the yellow circle. Maybe a picture to illustrate it. Just something.
Mhm. I agree with that.
Yeah, but Black Brother Mom just put up the
Oh,
that is so
ooh,
out
yeah.
of date and so
Yeah, it needs to be
unreliable.
updated. They do have a wiki, but it needs updated.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to blow the dust off that thing.
Yeah, it's
I remember going there. I looked a few things up on there. It was
Yeah.
nice like 3 years ago.
The XP, the way XP is given is still accurate. That's what
Oh,
I
yeah,
go
that-
there for.
They're not going to change any of the really old stuff that's been in the game for a while, like the ranking. They're not going to change it.
yeah, even if it's broken, but yeah. So, I mean, anything else? Okay, I'm gonna not for anybody.
Isn't the
particular.
wiki usually maintained by the community itself? It just goes to show that the community doesn't want to maintain it.
Well, I think a lot. I'm not sure who was the original one because it started up when the M was around and whatnot, and he was very good at documenting things, and I don't know, nobody's. I guess I'm not sure who had original felt they had ownership over it back at the beginning. But even there's a lot of information that flows into the TFC page that it seems like
Or the moderators.
It could be encapsulated in some way, or the forum, or because most of the way I read the forum is I look for community managers, the game developers, see what posts that they make. And there's not a lot of them, and there used to be a lot more. So, my way of finding new information about the game and game mechanics has gone away. So,
Well, who are the moderators for the wiki anyway?
I have no
Talking
idea.
about the wiki.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all died years ago.
Y'all quit or died.
Wow.
Some awful boating accident. They were all in the same boat.
The Kix assassins They didn't want too much info about their game getting out.
I don't know. It was a boating
Well,
accident.
maybe that's something that can be brought up to the new guy. Maybe that post him the link and in the forums and ask if there's a way they can find someone to update that list or create a new one.
Yeah, especially with new things that are added to the game, especially when they're all already written up, because it's GD Ray can put up a post, if what was a year and a half ago, like explaining how all the different class systems were going to work together, and and still, how long, because it wasn't like put in the forefront for people, how long did it take for people to realize they couldn't use their vendettas in the raid, and that they weren't going to be able to use them in the FM anymore, and things of that nature. It just seems like there needs to be, something that needs to be more centralized and organized and put at the forefront of the game, as opposed to the forums, because the forums is, like I said, it's unorganized, it's all time based and whatnot.
And the problem is, normally I'd recommend like a splash screen as you log in, but a lot of people just click out of that. They tried a red glowing exclamation point on the side of the screen, which I thought was a pretty good idea, but I guess it didn't work for reasons. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I know some people are getting 30 time limited offers at this point. I'm only getting 24, but yeah, it's.
Oh, I mean, I meant more
I
like
got that the other day.
30?
31.
Oh, wow.
31.
Oh,
I
Rum,
only-
30. Rum got a special one. I wonder what is the other one. I never heard of 31. I've heard of. I got 24, and I've heard of the 30s.
Rum is special.
I'm gonna say this really quick about the
Free dice.
the time limited offers and stuff like that, because I was burnt before by the whole monolith and the icebreakers and all that stuff. Because I bought the tokens to make the gridiron monolith, and then the next day they come out with the TLC where you basically give you the gridiron for free.
Yep.
And so that one was pretty bad. And then yeah, I think it happened to me twice.
Well, but think about what they just did with the Skyfire. I mean, I realize it was out, last week or the week before?
Oh, then they
2
gave
weeks.
a bunch of free ones away.
Well, it was just before that, where you could go out and do it and get a few tokens and build whatever. Then a lot of guys went through and rushed and coined everything, and now look, whoa, here's 2 more free Skyfires.
Yeah.
That's their fault.
Whose fault? The guys that are coining?
Yeah.
It's part of the game. It's the way they do it.
Oh,
If you have the patience to wait it out, good. If you want it now, pay for it.
But not the next day. I mean,
Well, but
I did the TLC. I mean, I got the tokens from the time limited offer, right? And then the TLC comes out the next day.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
Yeah,
I understand.
that's a
I did the
whip
same
issue.
thing.
yeah.
At least a little bit more of a break, so you feel like you get a little value for buying it instead of just giving it away. I understand.
I've been spending a little bit too much money on this game. Actually, my friends are trying to tell me to try to go a week without coin, and it's very hard and very addicting. And I want to pull out the card, but like all my friends keep saying, put the card back. You don't need it. But
Yeah,
It is hard.
it's very hard not to coin. It's like a gambler going to the casino and can't spend a dime on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I'm right with you.
Where's my dice?
and I brought up the tier system as a simple example for newer players, but The other example I'd throw out there is like, how do UAVs work? And that's not it's not documented anywhere within the game as far as
No, I
how
think
the
we'd all
special-
agree that the documentation is the worst on this game than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for something that you pay for and you continue paying for.
Mhm.
You get very little information for the dollars you spend. They want people to make mistakes, and it feels like to me, in my opinion, they want people to make mistakes, so they have to pay to refit their boats.
But
most people
what
don't.
percentage of those people just throw their hands up and say, "F
It
this"?
depends. How much do you have invested in the game? Anybody that's got a substantial amount invested in it will never throw it away. They hopefully won't make as many mistakes. But the new guys that are competitive, they'll get in there and they'll spend a little money and they'll waste some.
Yeah.
If we all think about the money we spent on this game and what, say, 5 years you've been playing this game,
I don't even want to think about it. I don't.
According to the forums, it says I've been playing for over 7. But no, it's no. I guess we can move on. I just think that they need to have a Major Rampage is he's been doing good work, is trying to reach out to the community and find out what kind of information they want. And I was just trying to see what other people thought would be a good conduit of information and a good way to spread information to the players. And I was just taking it off of that.
Oh no, it's a wonderful idea. There needs to be like you said, a wiki, something out there that has complete information on how certain specials will affect other areas of the game, because it's crazy.
They
Here's
also need to get
Here's a brand new carbon fiber turbine put on your car. We don't know how fast you're going to go, but hey, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
another big issue that needs to be looked into is how far out of touch with the game customer service is with players.
Well, that's because they're based on Mars. I mean, in another country, they have a flow chart that is the only connection they have to the game.
And that is sad and it's very ineffective.
You got
Yeah.
a bad cutout or chop on your connection.
Yeah.
That's the majority of businesses today. Their customer service is mostly out of the country, and they have a flow chart, and that's it.
Yeah, they need to have a kick out of the flow chart once they realize they're over their head and actually send it back to Kixeye as opposed to the company that's dealing with their customer support.
They need customer service people for this game that actually play the game.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
Good
at least
luck.
they need, at least at a certain point, they need to be able to redirect it back out of the company that's dealing with that back to Kixeye.
Yeah, like if someone at work asks me a question and I don't know, I pass it up the chain. They should probably do something like that, where it's like, oh, none of these options are covered, and I don't know. All right, let's send him to Kix. Let's get the manager in, and he'll solve it basically.
Has anybody actually tried that on customer support? Can I speak to your manager?
Actually, strange that you asked that. When I was running into the whole issue about I had been doing a Talon Phoenix build, I only had 3 Talons that I was building. When they reset the build times, I actually saw that if I quit my build and restarted it, it would actually get done quicker than what it already was. So I did that. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, we got tokens. And then you saw the announcement, oh, we're giving you tokens for the Talons you were building or didn't. To make a long story short, I filed a ticket. They said, well, you need to give us a time-stamped screenshot. Okay, how in the hell do I go back in time? They played me around on that, and I just simply said, well, when you escalate this, I want somebody to contact me directly. And the next thing I know, I had build tokens in my... They heard escalation and said, oh, hell no, let's give him the tokens.
You guys know a while back when we had the issue where a lot of people were getting that it was a raid that we had that your base is being looked at or something like that, and couldn't log in to your game. All you could do is auto the raid. It's been a while back, but I had that issue, and my crew basically had to do my raid for me, and I had to auto everything that they left because I could not join my battle because it kept saying Kixeye was reviewing my account. Well, I kept complaining about that, and they ended up sending me. I suddenly got a thing on my window saying they wanted to talk with me, and I'm like, what is that button that was just popped up on my game? So I actually clicked the thing and went into support, and they had a live chat where we actually talked about it, and they said, can they get on my account and see what's happening and everything? I said, fine, check it out, take it for a spin, drive it around, whatever you want to do. They never did get to resolve the problem until like almost just slightly before the raid ended, and then the problem was disappeared, and then I was able to log back in again and see what I was doing. But that was the first time I've actually got a live chat with them, and they actually got on my account to see what the problem was.
Yeah, and I do recall back in the days. Oh, how many years ago was that?
It wasn't even really a couple years ago. I believe it was in this year, or maybe it was last year.
But they had the option for a live chat at one point.
Yeah, and they actually popped up a box on my game saying, we would like to speak with you about the issue, because they ended up giving me the Cannier flag because I could not get into my raid and drive. They actually ended up giving me the Cannier because that was the one item I couldn't get because of all their problems. The flag Cannier on the raid.
About the only other thing I'd really add when it comes to customer support, I know it's an outside business, but maybe this information could relay through the chains. Again, Laredo, I hope you're taking notes. That company needs to teach its employees how in the hell to actually look at attachments that are sent in that they request. I mean, I sent in about an issue. I sent a video link. I told them in my complaint, the video is linked below. And the response was, can you send us a video of what's happening? Honestly, I just wanted to like find people and slap them. And it's not just Kick's customer support. There is a lot of customer support that does that exact same thing, and it annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah, I mean, customer support is an issue, and I mean, I don't think that's going to get solved by anytime soon by anybody. It's like you said, it's a product of what's going on in the most U.S. industries. So I don't know. I'm not sure that. I know a lot of people could be very upset with customer support on a lot of issues, but is there anything else anybody wants to talk about?
But what do you guys think of more one-on-one support with if someone's really having a problem? Is that customer support should get a hold of that person and have a direct talk with person to person and not push around notes back and forth? I think that would be a good issue.
Yeah, but then you get into the deal of prioritizing tickets and who gets what service. Do you start having tiers of how much qualified? Exactly.
And are the people at the other end qualified to answer? Yeah, qualified to answer your questions.
Because I mean, if you got 70,000 people on there and 10% of them have a problem, and you've only got 10 Kixeye employees, you're not going to get much service.
Very true. But yeah, I always liked that when I did get the live chats, and everything got worked out pretty quickly, and it lowered the anger level as far as, especially when things were, during a raid or whatnot. I did like that, but I think at that point, Kixeye was doing their customer support in-house, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, I see what Laredo just wrote. I understand that, Laredo, but sometimes when you actually send live video footage of something that's happening, And then they turn around and send you a message. Can you send live videos? Like, oh well, what did I just send you? They've actually done that.
So, anything else? Anybody have any non-customer support related issues, or not issues, but topics they'd like to
Well,
talk about?
that new turret that we got, has anybody been or found a way to make it efficient enough to work?
I don't think people have even
Haven't even put it.
built them because, well, going back to the slide of information, we don't know how many stacks it is to get a boom. And even if we did, 50% turret defense and some shock plates negates a lot of that damage. And they still have to hit against 66% evade, which isn't easy, even though they get stupid accuracy from one of those specials. I don't think a lot of people want to invest the multiple millions of base parts that they would need to change out enough turrets to this to maybe make a difference.
Well,
And
I have 3 built, and my current build is, and I don't know why this is on there other than it was left, is Eruption Pyre, Radium Reserves, and Atomic Focus. Plus, I have enough fire supports around that I'm getting a 90% ballistic damage increase.
Ballistic?
And, well, let's see, launcher radioactive.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
getting
So-
90% radioactive as well, and it doesn't do anything.
But what you're going for is the boom.
Yeah. Well,
I'm wondering if it stacks. If it does stack with your ship-based launchers.
Again, that's
no.
something that's not explained and never been put on a blueprint. So yeah, that's a nice thought, but
No,
don't have an answer.
no launcher has ever stacked with a different launcher. Well,
Yeah, they
okay,
did.
there was the F and the
Yeah,
S and the what's it.
Yeah.
Of a different type, yeah. So yeah, but we don't even know what type this is. These are
I think we'd have to
Could be fun.
assume it's its own type and it wouldn't stack. Like if you had a D98U filled Vanquisher and this firing at the same time, I think they'd count separately.
yeah, and I've got it to. I have it towards the front, just because I built it and then realized I didn't. And it does cause booms on the Reaver Tide, but I don't know what their evade numbers are, and I'm sort of wondering if what's the word I'm looking for? I'm wondering if unreactive is still in the game but no longer in the blueprints. Because remember, unreactive was a big stat for a long time, and nobody's seen it in a long time.
The Liberator had it, I think, and
Yeah, some of the newer ones have it listed.
They do have it. Okay, I'll double check.
Well, I am going to start Reaver Tide, and I've got it shared at the bottom.
Okay, I'll put you on present. Want to get another beer?
Bring me one, dude.
So, yeah.
Hold my beer. Rum's gonna do it. Daily campaign.
Woohoo!
oh snap!
I'm going to pull the Mudglut out of there so we can see what happens.
The proest of strats.
The teachers always said if you're not going to bring some for the whole class, don't bring any at all.
It's funny how far they get without that Mudglut in the way.
Yeah, but even
Is anybody seeing any booms?
Well, it's hard to tell because you have
Oh, let me here. I know everybody
Yeah.
loves me to do this. There
Yeah, I
we
would-
go.
I'd love to see them come up with some more.
Well, I see. Isn't that fire field the booms?
Yeah, where does that fire field coming from?
Who knows?
Yeah. That's what we're trying to. Yeah,
They're
I didn't move
well,
that.
that fire field we know with the thrower.
some of the mortars do it, and some of the reavers when they die. I mean, not when they die, but when their weapons produce fire fields. I remember seeing.
No, these reavers don't.
Now,
They
just
don't
so
have
everybody knows, on this event, what I'm doing is I'm pulling the glut and everything back so we can give those a chance to fire. Those 3 right there.
Just put take out the just put a gunboat in. You're
Hell, my
and you
base
don't have
might my
to.
base might die.
It
Your
will.
base ain't gonna die.
No,
Their,
Your
their
I
base
said
ain't
bases are
gonna
pretty
die.
weak.
I said my base might die.
Oh. Just leave one alpha in the end, the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll move everything. Oh wait, crap! No, don't do that. I don't want to give away 50 cents just because I forgot to move my dock. Come on, where are you gonna set? Where are you gonna set?
Laredo will send you some coins to repair it. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, right. Contributing to the goodness of BP. Hey, I might be a coiner, but I don't want to just throw it away.
Hey, he's saying you're. Oh, hey, yeah, those fleets are on auto, so you don't have to drive.
No, I was moving. I don't know why my. I don't know why that guy was moving. He shouldn't be. I did notice after I got hit day before yesterday that all of a sudden all my guard base or guard boats had +10 range. I thought that was really strange.
Well, your fleets weren't outside your base, were they? Because
Yep.
that happened to me. Everything was totally outside, and everything was just like swimming away, going wherever they want, please.
At the end of it was. Now, see, you could see them fire there, but I don't know that it built up a charge.
That's your mortars, though, isn't it?
I don't have any mortars.
You don't have any mortars, huh?
Nope, I have no
I
mortars
want
in the
my
base
big
at all.
screen back again.
See, I don't even. There they fire. Now they're firing again. See, no boom. I mean, the yellow bar never climbed more than a click.
Yeah, I don't think these are tough enough to get
I
a boom
agree.
on.
I agree.
Do I need to send in one of my conquerors or something so we can do a test?
I don't care. Are we near? I'm in 217.
Do you see any down arrow or anything? I didn't see a down arrow. Or for when one of them got hit, like if they get hit by a 98U.
As in a debuff?
Yeah, like a little debuff thing. I liked it better when it was a little bar, like when the old launchers.
Yeah, so do I.
That was the best the best one. I don't know why they went back and put a little down arrow. They already had a little bar.
Okay, you gotta move. See, there's a start of one on that, whatever he is, Malice. There's another stardom, but they don't ever get anywhere. Now, see, there's a debuff up there on some of them, all the orange things, down arrows.
Well,
that's
because of your
because
justice.
they're on the fire.
Right.
Oh yeah, the justice.
Yeah, the justice has a debuff for brain work. projectile speed and a couple of other things, if I remember right.
They never get this far when I have the mud glut up there. Oh, one's going to get through. Oops. Hello, Mr. Pride.
What you,
Look at that. Missiles coming in. Oh, well.
that's short-lived.
Yep. I think Hefe left us.
Yeah, he went to get a beer.
Well, I will jokingly say that, just like I said in chat earlier, I absolutely love the incinerator. They make nice obstacles at the front of my channel when they die.
Best speed bump.
All right.
You can take me off.
You're already off. But I was thinking maybe we could wind things down, but as opposed to the three things that you wish you knew when you started the game, the three things that you wished that you knew right now. Does anybody want to start?
Well, as a new Hyperion owner, I honestly wish they had a little bit more info, because, like, I hit something with my Hyperion and my cannon never fired once, and I have no clue why. And, just most of the info is there, but, why wasn't, yeah. Was it because I was refitting it wouldn't fire? I don't know.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Laredo.
More iron in your diet? I don't know.
How addicting the game gotten?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Such as how addicting this game has become from the beginning.
Okay. I mean, I would like to know. I mean, I've figured them out, but how UAV specials work, how cloak efficiency in bases work right now, how minimum pass-through works with both damage specific and assault or I'm sorry, ship and building deflection, how they calculate minimum damage on some of those ones. I mean, it's become more apparent with the charged armors, but some of the other armors, it's not nearly as apparent. So those are my three. Brian, you got anything? Brian, Daniel, Mike?
No, I didn't know there was going to be a test.
Yeah, well, you're getting an incomplete there, Mike.
I got, well, yeah.
Okay, it's all
I
good.
didn't-
Brian's not going to take an incomplete, though.
No, he doesn't have to.
Mine
Can you
always just comes back down to information. I think there just needs to be better information on what affects what and why.
Yeah, but Rum, I'm more like what information? Like what specific information at this point in time?
So what if you want an
Just a
explanation?
minimum pass
know,
through.
A lot of us, when we first started this game, didn't even know how to build anything. We always had these abomination builds, things that didn't belong, like sub parts on a long haul or whatever, It's just things that doesn't belong. There was really no instructions back when they first started the game, so I had all these abomination builds, and it made me further behind in the very beginning. But yeah, they could have had more information on that in the beginning of what goes where.
No, but in the beginning when I started, I had a bunch of abomination builds, and they worked just fine because I built a bunch of marauders and with different things, with rockets, with thuds,
DNXs
impulse
with
cannons.
siege cannons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I built a bunch of stuff, and I tested it all out right at the beginning with like marauders. Well, not DNXs. I didn't get DNXs till way late, like about a year later.
I had a DNX with rockets.
Nice. Are you,
Yeah,
are you
but
still
the
sporting
thing
that?
is-
Are you still sporting that in your dock room?
No, it's long gone.
Okay.
That was many years ago, and that was to basically screw up people with drones.
Mhm.
And still go in with and kill them.
A long time. Well, in those times, you could do that. It was fine to experiment,
Oh,
and it was fine to. It was fun. Yeah, it was fun to experiment. It was fine. You didn't
Yeah.
punish. Kickstarter didn't punish you severely for not having the exact build on the
Exactly.
exact. For this type of raid.
It
Today,
was
you
like-
guys sat there married to that build.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
that's another thing. That's why the game is. I think is going in a downward
Well,
spiral.
that is an issue, and I think that's a very good point that a lot of people feel married to a build because I really don't understand at all why they keep the unequipping penalty in the game. I mean,
Yeah.
it's since they're asking us, it appears with the lack of documentation and the escalation of weapons, throughout a raid cycle, why that is still part of the game. That puzzles me because it's like right now I don't plan on doing anything with my Gutspell Phoenix until that comes out. I'm going to park that in the corner until I get the new stuff.
Until what comes out?
Until the Plaid Hornet
escalated weapon and the escalated special.
Yeah,
Okay.
until I'm calling it the Plaid. I'm calling it the Plaid. No, well, it's the Plaid Hornet for the Skyfire, but the I don't know what's the escalation on the Talent. I don't know. The claws. I don't know. Whatever we're going to see next, because we're going to see it. We're going to see a escalation on the weapon abilities.
Well,
it may not be damage, it might be speed, it might might be defense. We don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be better than what we have right now.
Well, yeah, I heard him say that. And I understand that. But the same token, they come out and say you don't have to have every hole. You don't have to have every hole. But if you skip a hole, that hole comes back and bites you in the ass. Some people, some people couldn't get the pride or whatever, and they may have been released since then. I don't recall. But look how important that was for 6 weeks, 8 weeks after it came out in doing TLCs to get better weapons and better hulls. If you didn't have the pride, you couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, you could. I mean, those TLCs, I think the Pride TLCs, I think I was doing with Malices, and I had a lot of leftover tokens, so I refit my my Malices with Millennium guns, and was able to do quite well because of the deflections associated with the Malices, when everybody else was doing them with Prides.
Smart build.
Yeah, it worked. And it was all for free because I had all these leftover Malice tokens.
Well, another thing that they bring out, we've got one right now to where you can go back and win the incinerator again. I've never seen an incinerator in my base. I've got an incinerator and I tried using it like Santana, but I don't have his build, so it doesn't work very well. So
Okay.
Why is it out? I mean, if nobody's using it, Are they going to create a special niche for it later?
Yeah, I mean that's what I brought up at the beginning of the show. That's my assumption, is that they're the halls that underperform initially, the Conquer halls that underperform initially, they seem to tailor time limited campaigns for them.
Yep.
And then they also give them crazy flagships later.
Oh, with the oppressor, the oppressor never got any love.
But it did because of the deflections on it.
Yeah, the ballistic. So now, see if they would have the pass through of the ballistic to other boats like they have done with the Survivor. Yeah, people be using that bad boy all the time. There's nothing that defeats ballistic.
Yeah. There was a use for the oppressor in the TLCs. Yeah.
In the TLC, yeah. But then everybody got mudgluts and basically you just use mudgluts all the time.
Yeah, and then they tried to curtail that. But yeah, like I said, like the Sloth, the Oppressor, there's a lot of ships that never got their day because they didn't quite understand what they did when they created the mudglut.
Yeah, it seems to be a trend. When one dies off, they have another one that takes its place. Then it cleans bases for a little while until people get the idea. Then they come up with another one and start cleaning bases again.
Well, I've been watching an attack on an alliance in my sector, and everybody is using mudgluts again. Even with the justice in the base.
Now, I personally don't have mudgluts. I just got the gluttony a couple of raids ago, and I'm not far enough in prize pool 5 for the muddle yet. And so I use sloths at times. I use my liberators a lot. Really glad to get those. And actually, I hit a base with a justice with my malice tank, a retribution, and 3 slots. And even my alliance leader was watching while I did the hit. And that is the one downside of the justice. If it's not a major weapon, the justice dies pretty reasonably without doing a whole lot. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm building now is a justice. But what I've been having lately in my fleet bases, gluts will come in, and then after the gluts come in, then the pride fleet comes in and finishes it off.
Yeah, the Saga's pride can be pretty nasty. All right. Well, does anybody have anything else? I can end the live broadcast. Oh, Ford just showed up. Maybe he'll get on the show. He promised he would get on the show last week on the after show. So I'm going to post the... I'm
going to come on, Ford. No one will bite you.
He's only going to get on the after show, but... does anybody have anything else they want to add? Because Brian keeps on, I think, having communication or bandwidth issues.
Or beer.
And, nah, I don't think it's beer. But does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring
Not
up?
at the moment.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and I guess we'll see you Friday, and maybe we'll have more content. I'm sorry it was a weak for content.
It was a pleasant change.
Yeah, in some ways. In some ways it was, yeah. Alrighty. Well, if you all want to jump on the after show with Ford, I'm ending the show now. So,
good night, everybody.
Night, all. See you on the seas.
Have a good night, guys.
Take care and have good luck on the with the time limit campaigns.